The daughter I raised with my own hands turned out to be the long-lost true heiress of the vice minister's family. They took her back, swearing they would treat her well. Yet barely half a year after her return, she suddenly lost contact, frantic with worry. I rushed to the capital only to find their household hosting a grand celebration feast. 128 dowry chests filled the entire street, all items I had instructed her to take back in advance. I patted my chest in relief, realizing the girl had been busy preparing for her wedding, but as I drew closer, I discovered the bride today was actually the fake heiress. While Susu's parents and brother were calling her a bastard with undisguised contempt, our Jinna is truly the lovable one, unlike that bastard Jew Su, who's exactly like her low-born merchant foster mother. How dare she talk about private property after entering our Jew family? Who gave her the nerve? Selfish and shameless, she deserved to die. I froze, my blood boiling as I strode forward. That very day, at the fake heiress's wedding banquet, I lifted their skulls from their shoulders. What kind of merchant's daughter raises a mother? Even if the emperor himself were to come today, he'd have to call me mother. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. When I arrived in the eastern capital after traveling day and night, the Jew family was in the midst of marrying off their daughter. A full 128 dowry chests stretched from the doorstep to the street corner, leaving everyone in awe of the Jew family's extravagant display for their daughter's marriage. Only I recognized at first glance that it was the dowry I had prepared overnight for Susu when the Jew family found her. Fearing she might be wronged, even the outer chests and trunks remained unchanged. I felt slightly comforted, thinking she must have been too busy with the wedding preparations to reply to my letters these past days. But when I saw the young bride in her wedding dress clearly, I realized I didn't know her at all. A middle-aged couple dressed in luxurious attire stood beside her, holding her hand as they reluctantly bid farewell. I guessed they must be Susu's birth parents and stepped forward to inquire politely, "Isn't the bride today the Jew family's daughter, Susu?" The two looked at me in surprise, frowning as they spoke. "Russell, who's there? Today is my daughter's wedding. Who are you to dare cause trouble at our Jew family?" Instead, the young girl tugged at Madame Jew's sleeve and said sweetly, "Mother, my sister's name is Russell. Don't you remember, Mrs. Jew?" Suddenly realized, her doting expression toward the young girl instantly twisting into disgust. Her upturned, slanted eyes raked over me from head to toe. "So you're someone called by that bastard child, after all. She wasn't raised by our Jew family. Normally, she's just malicious and jealous, making things difficult for Jinna at every turn. But now, has she actually sent someone to ruin her wedding too? Bastard!" My face darkened. Without another word, I slapped her across that spiteful face, watching her clutch her cheek in shock. I coldly said to Hongxiu behind me, "Seal the estate. Not even a single dog is to be let out." Hongxiu bowed respectfully in acknowledgement. Then, countless shadow guards descended from the sky. Amidst the screams of Jew's parents and numerous guests, the entire Jew residence was surrounded so tightly that not even a drop of water could seep through. The Jew family guards who attempted to resist were instantly subdued. Hongxiu, who knew my intentions best, had already placed a blade against Jew's father's neck and spoke with a smile. "Speaking of Miss Susu in such a manner has greatly displeased our old madam. If you don't want to suffer, obediently tell us where Miss Susu is." The blade left a thin trail of blood on his neck. Old Master Jew, both in pain and fury, cursed viciously, "That damned scourge, we never should have brought her back in the first place. It was bad enough she bullied and humiliated Jinna with her cruelty and arrogance, but today she's even stirred up such chaos that the entire Jew household is in turmoil because of her." Jew Genie tearfully accused, "You are sister's people. How could you treat father like this? I know sister thinks I took her place, so she's always disliked me, but everyone in the Jew family is her kin. How could she act so recklessly and bring shame upon the Jew name?" I let out a cold laugh. When the Jew family first sent people to find her, they too had insisted they were Susu's true blood relatives. When Susu returns, they will surely compensate her with all their might, treating her as the apple of their eye. Susu believed their words and began to look forward to meeting her blood relatives whom she had never seen before. That's why I let go and sent her back to the Jew family. But now, It seems they don't cherish this long-lost biological daughter who was finally found, yet they still doted on a substitute with undiminished affection. Mrs. Ju embraced Ju Jin heartbrokenly, glaring at me with resentment. Ju Susu was never anything more than an embarrassment. If I could choose, I'd rather Jinna were my own flesh and blood. I found it utterly ridiculous and spoke with icy detachment. If that's the case, then what right do you have to touch these 128 dowry chests that Susu brought back? Seeing that I meant them no harm, the previously indifferent guests suddenly showed expressions of realization. So all these dowry items were actually embezzled by the Ju family from others. No wonder someone would come knocking with a knife on what should have been a joyous occasion. I always said, how could a mere sixth-rank official amass such substantial wealth? It's not that simple. The Miss Susu they mentioned is said to be the biological daughter the Ju family recently recovered, while this Ju Jinna is merely an adopted daughter. What? Using the dowry meant for their long-lost biological daughter to prop up their adopted daughter's social standing. Are Ju's parents heartless beasts? Hearing the surrounding whispers, Mr. and Mrs. Ju's expressions darkened visibly, clearly embarrassed, yet they stubbornly maintained their stance. She brought those things back to the Ju family, so they rightfully belong to the Jews now. That little wretch has been scheming against Jinna at every turn. This dowry was always what she owed Jinna. I was so furious I could only laugh bitterly. Just as I was about to teach these two scoundrels a lesson, a sharp shout suddenly came from the doorway. Who do you think you are, daring to cause trouble in my Ju household? I recognized this voice as the same person who had brought Susu home earlier, so I simply signaled the shadow guards at the door to let him pass. The man stumbled and disheveled, his eyes nearly bursting with rage at the scene before him. Ju Jin was the first to throw herself into his arms, her voice choked with sobs. Brother, you've finally returned. These are all sister's people. I beg you, please make them stop hurting father and mother. If she wants to vent her anger, if she wants to ruin my wedding, she can do anything as long as it eases her anger. Jinna is willing to kneel and apologize to her. Ju Chenghua hurriedly caught her, tenderly wiping away her tears. Don't be afraid, with your brother here. There's no way you'll ever have to apologize to that bitch. Today you just focus on getting married peacefully. Leave that bitch's matter to your brother to handle. I watched this heartwarming scene of sibling affection with cold eyes, completely losing my patience. Hongxiu helped me put on my gloves, then kicked Ju Chenghuan squarely in the knee. She came from the shadow guard, and this kick held no mercy. Ju Chenghuan let out a howl of pain and immediately dropped to his knees before me. I raised my hand and struck him hard across the face. You promised me back then that you would treat Susu well after taking her back, but it seems you didn't manage to do it. The glove was specially embroidered, striking the face with needle-like pain. Ju Chenghua clutched his blood-streaked face, grimacing in pain, finally recognizing who I was. You, a flicker of guilt flashed through his eyes before he roared in anger. It serves her right. Ever since she returned to the Ju family, not only has she repeatedly hurt Jinna, but she even took advantage of Jinna's kindness by hiring someone to assault her. With such viciousness, she's utterly unworthy of being a daughter of the Ju family. I couldn't help but sneer coldly as my gaze swept over the three people before me. The disgust in their eyes told me clearly that this was what they all thought. Fine, fine. So it turns out your entire family is nothing but beasts. You think we Sushu would ever covet anything from destitute wretches like you, who'd even seize others' dowries? The group turned livid from the scolding. Though they struggled several times to retaliate, Hongxiu kept them firmly suppressed. Instead, they were the ones howling in pain from the beating. Ju's father and mother glared at me with loathing, gnashing their teeth as they spoke. You're nothing but a lowly merchant, believe it or not, with just a word from us. Your entire family will be ruined. Let me tell you, Jinna is nothing like that bastard. Not only has the great general at court recognized her as his sister and sent generous gifts, but even the empress herself holds her in high regard. She specially ordered the finest embroiderers to make this wedding gown for her. They'll all be attending this wedding. If you dare humiliate us like this again, prepare to have your entire clan exterminated, as if to confirm their words. Commotion soon erupted outside. A tall figure slowly entered and spoke in a deep voice. What's the meaning of this? Daring to disrupt my little sister's wedding, are you looking to die? The members of the Jew family all brightened up, whether kneeling or standing. They all cried out, "General Lin, save us. This man barged into our Jew family with his men just to ruin Jinnah's wedding. You've always been fond of Jinnah, didn't you even send wedding gifts for her marriage before? Please help her this time too." The other guests also lowered their heads and whispered among themselves, "They say the Grand General has countless military achievements but never socializes with others, yet he rushed back from the battlefield just to congratulate Ju Jin on his wedding. He must indeed have deep ties with the Jew family." I've also heard that the old madam came to the Jew family to seek justice for the true young mistress she raised, but now that the Grand General is here, even if the Jew family is at fault, it probably won't matter anymore. Alas, out of respect for Ju Jin, the Grand General will surely protect the Jew family. The old madam is likely in grave danger. Listening to their discussions, the Jew family's faces were brimming with undisguised pride. Ju Jin even stepped forward, wearing an exaggerated look of bashfulness. "General, you've been so kind to me before, yet I've never had the chance to meet you. Thank goodness you came this time. Otherwise Jinnah might not have been able to get married. However, I beg you to show mercy. Although this matter was entirely caused by my sister's jealousy towards me, I don't wish to see my parents and elder brother heartbroken over it." Yet no one could have anticipated that after staring at her for a long moment, General Lin would frown and impatiently say, "Who the hell are you? Where's my little sister?" Everyone was stunned. The expressions on the faces of the Jew family members were downright comical, until I spoke coldly. "Lin Shu, kneel." Under everyone's stunned gazes, Lin Shu actually jolted and dropped to his knees in one rigid motion. I stepped out from behind the crowd and smacked him on the head. "I told you to protect Susu before, why didn't you do it?" Lin Shu knelt on the ground, scratching his head, and couldn't help but grin when he saw me. "Mom, why didn't you tell us you were coming to Dongju?" As the words fell, the already bewildered crowd collectively gasped in shock. Is this old lady General Lin's mother? Why haven't we heard General Lin mention her before? Exactly, wasn't it always rumored in the capital that General Lin was an orphan? Lin Shu paid no attention to the crowd and explained to me, "I've been on the battlefield all this time, and only rushed back day and night when I heard my little sister was getting married. But I'd already sent people with plenty of gifts beforehand, and made it clear she's my little sister. Surely no one would dare harm her." As he spoke, his icy gaze swept over everyone present, carrying a clear warning. Yet the only ones truly frightened were the Jew family members. I spoke coldly. "Then take a look for yourself. Where is your little sister now?" Only when Lin Shu saw I was genuinely angry did he realize something was wrong, his face turning pale with shock. "That's right, where's my little sister? Where's my dear little sister?" No one dared to answer him. After a long silence, Zhu Chenghuan finally asked with a pale, unwilling face, "General Lin, when you say little sister, do you mean Lin Su?" Lin Shu gave him a cold glance. Otherwise, 3 simple words. Yet they drained the color from the faces of everyone in the Zhu family, including Ju Jin. Lin Shu, however, remained utterly indifferent, growing restless. He dared not rise without my permission, his eyes darting about in search of any rustling movement. Only when he saw Ju Jin in her wedding dress and the rows of dowry cases outside bearing the Lin family insignia did realization strike. His gaze snapped toward the Ju family members. "You actually gave away all these congratulatory gifts, along with the dowry my mother prepared, even my little sister's belongings, to someone else? Ju family, are you all courting death?" The Ju family members were trembling with fear, not daring to utter a word. Although Ju's father also held an official position, in front of Lin Shu, he didn't dare to even let out a fart, completely losing the arrogance he had shown earlier. Ju Jin shrank further behind her parents, trying to make herself invisible. My patience had run out as I asked one final time, "Tell me, where is Susu? Otherwise, I'm afraid misfortune will befall you." Ju's parents exchanged glances, their lips trembling slightly, but they dared not make a sound. Zhu Chenghuan also looked grim, with a trace of fear flickering in his eyes. A bad premonition crept over me. Taking the knife from Hongxiu, I tapped it against their faces and said coldly, "If you don't speak now, the Zhu family will be wiped out today." Several people trembled in fear, no longer daring to remain silent. Ju Chenghua lowered his head and gritted his teeth as he forced out a few words. At Bifu Garden, previously, Lin Su harmed Jinna and showed no remorse, so we sent her to Bifu Garden to learn discipline, but this is our own family matter, and Lin Su was at fault first. Even General Lin can't condemn us for this, can he? Ju Chenghua grew more confident as he spoke, shielding Ju Jin behind him with righteous indignation. It's just sending her to Bifu Garden, though she is my own blood sister. But Jinna has been with our Ju family for over a decade, dutifully caring for our parents and managing household affairs. She's equally our family. What's wrong with us protecting her? He spoke with righteous indignation, playing the part of a good elder brother to perfection. Ju's parents also straightened their backs, glaring at us furiously. As if I had truly wronged them. Protected by the group, Ju Jin raised her tearful eyes and looked at me and Lin Shu, speaking softly. Madam, General Lin, I implore you to investigate this matter thoroughly. If I had known it would come to this, no matter how my sister bullied or humiliated me, I would have endured it quietly. Then I wouldn't have brought such shame upon father, mother, and my brothers today. Yet no one took his words seriously, after all. The moment Bifu Garden was mentioned, the crowd's gaze toward the Ju family turned strange. Bifu Garden, have the Jews gone mad? That den of vice dealing in flesh, how could you heartlessly send your own blood relative there? Exactly, sending her there is no different from signing her death warrant. Even the poorest families, no matter how desperate for money, would never send their loved ones to such a place to suffer. Lin Shu leaped up and pinned Ju Chenghuan beneath him, raining blow after blow on his face. How dare you send Susu to that kind of place? How dare you? A spoiled playboy like Ju Chenghuan was no match for Lin Shu, and soon his face was covered in blood. He didn't even have the strength to scream. Ju's parents turned pale with shock, rushing over to shield Ju Chenghuan behind them as they shouted, I am, after all, a 6th-rank official. How dare you bully others relying on your power? Aren't you afraid I'll lodge a complaint with the emperor himself? If that little bastard Lin Su hadn't been raised by you to be so domineering and cruel, we would never have treated her this way. She brought all of this upon herself. No sooner had the words left his mouth than Hongxiu kicked him square in the chest, sending him sprawling to the ground, coughing as if his lungs were being torn apart, furious beyond measure. I let out a cold laugh and spoke icily to Lin Shu, go to Bifu Garden and bring Susu back. As for the rest of you, I'll make sure you learn the truth, whether it's Susu who's vicious, or you fools who've been protecting the wrong person all along. At that time, I'll make each of you pay the price. Susu has been raised under my care for over a decade. I know her character better than anyone, and she absolutely couldn't have done the things they're accusing her of. Besides, when she left, I told her clearly if life ever became difficult, she could always come back home. Even if the Ju family didn't meet expectations, she still had us. How could she possibly resort to harming others out of jealousy? Such words are utterly ridiculous. Lin Shu shot them a look of disgust before quickly heading to Bifu Garden. As for me, I summoned every member of the Ju household to the main hall. Whether through threats or incentives, I was determined to make them tell the truth. I had considered every possibility, yet never anticipated such an outcome in the end. Half an hour later, Lin Shu returned with Susu, but what he brought back was a corpse, holding the white-shrouded body in his arms. Lin Shu said with reddened eyes, Mother, little sister, she's dead. I stood frozen in place, unable to speak for a long moment. My mind buzzed with white noise as my heart plummeted into an abyss. The air hung heavy with an eerie silence. After an unknown length of time, someone suddenly let out a cold laugh and sneered, General Lin, aren't you ashamed to collaborate with Lin Su in spreading such lies? You probably don't realize we've long grown tired of her little tricks. We merely confined her to Bifu Garden to teach her a lesson. How could she possibly have died? I followed the sound and realized the speaker was Ju Chenghuan, yet despite his resolute tone, his palms were trembling as he stared fixedly at the white cloth-wrapped body in Lin Shu's arms. It seemed he was desperate to see through that white shroud to discover what lay beneath. Ju's parents also stood dumbfounded, their mouths opening and closing without uttering a word. Only Ju Jin hid behind the three of them, a faint smirk curling at the corners of her lips, her eyes flashing with unmistakable satisfaction. I saw it with my own eyes and, without hesitation, grabbed her by the hair and yanked her out, then slapped her twice across the face. You seem quite pleased to hear that Susu is dead. Do you think just because these 3 idiots are protecting you, I can't do anything to you? If I find out you have the slightest connection to this matter, I'll skin you alive and pull out your sinews to bury with my Susu. Ju Jin was caught off guard by the 2 slaps. Her eyes instantly reddening, she cried out to Ju Chunghao and the others through her tears, "Brother, father, mother, save me, I really don't know what's going on. This matter has nothing to do with me. Besides, sister had already told countless lies like this, who could say whether this time was true or false?" Mother Ju was the first to snap out of it. With a surge of unknown strength, she snatched the struggling Ju Jin and shielded him in her arms. I opened my mouth to speak, but the initial fire in me had already died down. I don't believe Lin Su is dead. Don't you dare use that excuse to hurt Jinna. If she still wants us as her birth parents and her own brother, then let her come out obediently and apologize to Jinna. This matter is now behind us, and we won't hold it against her anymore. She spoke, but her eyes kept darting behind me, behind Lin Shu's back. It seemed utterly convinced that Susu was hidden in some corner by us. Mr. Ju and Ju Chunghuan were equally convinced, sneering coldly, "Right. If she can admit her mistakes and repent now, she's still family. But if she continues to lie and make trouble like this, don't blame us for disowning her in the future." I looked at them mockingly, then after a long pause, said with sarcasm, "You've been so kind to an adopted daughter, then as your own flesh and blood, your daughter and sister, have you ever trusted Susu unconditionally or protected her like this?" All 3 of them froze, instinctively about to speak. But apart from Ju Chenghua impulsively uttering an indistinct syllable, after that, no one could utter another word. Now even the onlookers understood. The Ju family is truly as foolish as pigs, neglecting their own long-lost daughter who deserves love and compensation, yet blindly trusting an adopted daughter instead. Even if they have affection for that adopted daughter, treating them equally would suffice. Such behavior is truly disgusting. Yes. Even sending their own daughter to a place like Bifu Tower for the sake of their adopted daughter, possibly at the cost of her life. Who knows how heartbroken that biological daughter must have been at the time. The crowd's words left the Ju family members pale-faced and speechless, unable to refute. They finally remembered that from the very beginning, they had been filled with prejudice and resentment toward Lin Su, their biological daughter who had been found and brought back home. So now, looking back, they couldn't even tell whether it was truly Lin Su who had been the problem all along in how things had turned out between them, or was it their prejudice that led to this. But their arms, which had been tightly gripping Ju Jin, gradually loosened. Ju Jin's face turned pale, clearly understanding what this meant. I watched the confusion on their faces, perhaps mixed with a hint of guilt, but couldn't suppress the cold laughter rising in my heart. Back then, Susu returned to the Ju family with a heart full of hope, only to meet her end in the underworld. So now, no matter how they feel, I am determined to make them pay for Susu's life. The entire Ju household, including the servants, was brought forward, trembling as they stood in place. I sat in the master's seat, coldly surveying the crowd below. I called you here to make you clarify whether Susu has indeed been secretly harming Ju Jin at every turn as they claim. Speak one word of truth, and I shall reward you with 100 taels of gold, and find you a new master. But if a single lie passes your lips, the mass graves will be your final resting place. These servants may seem insignificant in daily life, yet not a single event that has occurred in this mansion has escaped their watchful eyes. I also want to know what exactly Susu went through that caused her to lose her life in such a short span of time. Hearing my words, the servants exchanged glances, looking at the Ju family members and then at me, hesitating and not daring to speak. This time, before I could even speak, the gathered guests urged them on. Don't be afraid, these 2 are the great general and his mother. Naturally. Their word is law. Yes, speak whatever you know. Naturally. The general and the old madam will stand behind you. Ju Chenghua curled his fingers slightly and actually spoke up in a hoarse voice. Speak your truth, as long as it's the truth. It won't count as betrayal. Ju Jin's already pallid complexion lost its last trace of color at these words. She trembled almost imperceptibly, as if already foreseeing her own fate. The first to step forward was a young maidservant. She glanced at Ju Jin, biting her lip as she spoke. This servant knows little else, but Miss Ju Jin's claim that Miss Susu pushed her into the water is utterly baseless. That day, this servant saw it clearly. It was Miss Ju Jin who deliberately fell when she saw the young master approaching. As these words were spoken, many bystanders chimed in agreement. Yes, this servant witnessed it too. Before this, Miss Ju Jin had been deliberately provoking Miss Susu with harsh words, only to feign fragility the moment the young master arrived. More and more people spoke up, and Ju Jin could no longer hold back, letting out a loud scream. I didn't do it, you're all lying. I'll sell every one of you to Bifu Garden and slap your mouths shut. But no one paid any attention to her howls. I found the noise grating, so I simply had Hongxiu gag her with a rag and toss her into the corner. Ju Jin whimpered, casting pleading glances at her parents and Ju Chenghuan. But those who once shielded her without hesitation now wore dazed expressions, paying her no heed. Ju Chenghuan murmured absently, back then, I even scolded her for it, slapped her across the face, and called her a madwoman. But now, could the truth actually be like this? I sneered at the hint of remorse in his tone and waved my hand dismissively at Hongxiu behind me. Understanding my unspoken command, Hongxiu took out silver notes from her sleeve and handed them to the maid. Our old mistress never speaks falsely. 5 sentences. 500 taels. The maidservant trembled as she received the 500 taels, her entire body shaking with this unexpected fortune. Seeing this, the others' last shred of hesitation vanished, and they eagerly spilled every detail about Ju Jin. And there was that time Miss Ju Jin falsely accused Miss Susu of tampering with her horse, causing her to break her leg, but I clearly saw Miss Ju Jin herself driving a needle into the horse's hoof. On that birthday banquet, Miss Ju Jin cut her own dress into pieces the night before, yet accused Miss Susu of doing it. Not only did she take all of Susu's belongings, but she also called her a bastard unworthy of appearing in public. We never dared to speak of these things before because the master, the mistress, and the eldest young master all favored Miss Ju Jin too much. Even if we had spoken up, they wouldn't have believed us, and there was nothing we could do. As one truth after another came to light, Ju's father and mother were completely devastated. Ju Chenghua's face was also filled with bitter remorse, his eyes bloodshot. The last to speak was the maidservant who attended closely to Ju Jin. She knelt on the ground and spoke under Ju Jin's desperate gaze. What I have to say concerns the incident where Miss Susu secretly poisoned Miss Ju Jin, of course, that was also orchestrated by Miss Ju Jin herself, yet the master, mistress, and eldest young master still refused to listen to Miss Susu's explanation. Instead, at Miss Ju Jin's instigation, they sent her to Bifu Garden, and Miss Susu's death was also arranged by Miss Ju Jin, who bribed the madam of Bifu Garden to have the young lady beaten to death. The 3 members of the Ju family widened their eyes in shock, as if struck by lightning. They looked at Ju Jin in disbelief, their eyes filled with utter incredulity. Didn't you promise to treat Susu as your own sister? You bitch, how dare you treat her like that? You even wanted to kill her, so you're the truly vicious one. They lunged forward, raining punches and kicks upon Ju Jin, venting their grief and fury. Watching this dog-eat-dog scene and listening to the alternating screams, I felt nothing but pure satisfaction. Just as Ju Jin was beaten to the brink of death, covered in blood, the Ju family members suddenly brightened up, calling out to the figure approaching from the distance at the door, Susu, you're really alive. I froze in surprise. Even though I knew Lin Shu couldn't possibly be lying, I still instinctively followed their gazes toward the door, but with just one glance, I knew it wasn't Susu. A dull ache rose in my chest. I closed my eyes briefly before sitting back down, utterly exhausted. As the woman slowly approached, the 3 members of the Ju family quickly realized the newcomer wasn't Lin Su. The air grew even more deathly still than before. Instead, the others turned pale with shock and hastily dropped to their knees. It's Her Majesty the Empress. Your humble servant pays respects to Her Majesty the Empress. The Queen walked in slowly and calmly raised her hand. Today is an incognito outing from the palace, no need for formalities. Ju Jin, however, suddenly threw herself forward like a madwoman, crying out as if seeing a savior. Your Majesty the Queen, This humble subject is Ju Jin. I beg you, please save me. You previously said you admired my talents, and when you heard I was to be married, you even specially gifted me a wedding dress. Yet today, someone disrupted my wedding in a most outrageous manner, even going so far as to frame me. I beg Her Majesty the Empress to uphold justice for me and clear my name." She wept pitifully, her tears falling like pear blossoms in the rain, a sight that would move anyone to compassion. But this time, the 3 members of the Ju family looked on with nothing but disgust, including the Empress who had once stopped her and claimed to hold her in high regard, who now merely gazed at her expressionlessly and said coldly, "This consort is giving you a wedding dress. Who told you this consort's wedding dress was meant for you?" Ju Jin stiffened, looking at the Empress in disbelief, clearly recalling the identical scene from not long ago. The others were also stunned. And it took a while before someone snapped out of it. This scene is exactly the same as when General Lin arrived earlier. It seems the Ju family's adopted daughter is being presumptuous again. Wait, am I the only one who remembers that the Empress's maiden name is Lin? The same as this elderly lady and General Lin? Gasp. Does that mean? All eyes fell upon me. Under their gaze, the Empress walked straight to me and spoke slowly. "Mother, I've come late." As these words fell, the entire hall erupted in uproar. Who on earth is this old madam? How could both the current Empress and the General be her children? The Ju family members stared at me in utter disbelief, as if they'd seen a ghost. Amidst the uproar, I nodded calmly. "Have you completed what I asked you to do?" Lin Yang sighed and said guiltily, "It's done, and I've also brought the person you wanted." "Mother, I'm sorry, I was in the eastern capital all along, yet I failed to protect little sister." She glanced coldly at the Ju family members kneeling on the ground and said, "You've done quite well in killing my sister. I just wonder if you can bear the consequences." No one spoke, nor dared to speak. Ju Jin's last glimmer of hope vanished as she collapsed to the ground, her face ashen with despair. Instead, Ju Chenghuang was momentarily dazed, murmuring as he spoke, "No one in this world dares to lie to Her Majesty the Empress. So you're not lying, Lin Su, is she really dead?" Before we could answer, he clutched his head again, his expression twisted in agony. "But how could it be? How could she die? We only meant to make her suffer a little, to teach her a lesson. We never intended for her to die. She was my sister, my only blood sister." Ju's parents also turned